Hey folks, welcome back to Markelly Farm. We are officially back into harvest and we've started harvesting corn. We've got 99% of the soybeans done. We're just waiting for some to dry up. So slap the corn heads on and we got in the field. Before we get started this morning, let's give you an up-close look here at the corn head that we have on the combine now. We'll tell you how it works. So up underneath here you can see these feed rollers. There's two sets of them on every row, and what that does is it grabs a hold of the corn stalk, and before it cuts the corn stalk it throws it kind of down into the ground, so the stump that's in the ground, that little stumpy portion of the stalk, it'll kind of blow it out on the bottom a little bit and kind of break it up. And then it grabs the rest of the stalk and drags it down through the slot here. And as it pulls the stalk down, the stalk goes through these plates, and these are called stripper plates right here. So there's room for the stalk to go through, but not enough room for the cob. So as the stalk goes through, the cob gets popped off of the stalk, and then the cob is fed up to this big auger, and then all the cobs go to the center and go through into the combine. Now they make all kinds of different of these stripper plates. Some of them have like a concave area right here. They say that does less damage to the cob when it comes down because it's rounded like the bottom of the cob and it's less likely to break kernels off. And then I've also seen stripper plates where there's a little edge right here. So if there is some loose kernels here, instead of falling off down going through, the kernels will be pulled up into there and not just out on the ground. Now you have another feature here. This is a row sensor. So as you're going down the row, your stalks go through here, and this will help steer your combine to keep you on the row spacing. Kind of an automatic deal. But you can see some cobs up here from yesterday, and that's where they go in. And then as usual, the magic happens inside the combine and you get just the kernels coming out the other end. Here comes my cousin over the hill. Got us a load coming. Oh, we got the big boss working today. Got Mason with her. Got us a load. All right, we are on the way. Gotta go to the bin. Neat old farmhouse, but weather's getting the better of it. I wish these big farmers would just get rid of those houses when they buy the big farms. When they don't use the houses, then I wouldn't have to see them in decline. It just kills me to see those old homesteads just cave in. These folks here are building them a real nice homestead out here. Beautiful little place. Looks like they've been staying in their camper as they work on the place. Gorgeous. Alright, we're coming into the bin site here. If you remember, this is the same place that we've been hauling corn out of all year. In fact, this first bin right here still got a couple loads of corn in it. And if it doesn't sell right away, we'll pull it out and put it in one of the other bins. So we got to drive around the back of the bins because the pit we need to enter from the other direction. And we can't pull off the road from the other side because the corner's too sharp. So here's the draper heads from the beams over here that we use, parked in the yard. Come around the bin here. Come through this little soft spot in the yard. Right up onto the pit. cars coming back on the road. Look at these beautiful fall colors we're getting now. Isn't that gorgeous? You don't see yellows like that very often. I love this little old store here. It's not in use anymore, but neat old store. Now this here is what you call a minimum maintenance road here in Nebraska, which means it doesn't get maintained until it becomes impassable. And it's usually maintained by the farmers that have to use it. Now you heard of four-wheeling. We're doing it in an 18-wheeler. All four of our wheeling wheels are on the same axle. Ooh, big bump. Ooh, I think I just bruised my pancreas. And over the top we go. And there's the field. And we're back. We just got this field cut in, which means you get the headlands cut off. Those are the rows that go sideways on the end. You can see the straight rows going across. So the headlands are cut. Now we're doing some dryland corn out here, which is outside the arc of the pivot. The pivot only goes, I think you can probably see the last wheel track out there. From there over to here, this is dryland corn. You can see another pivot in the distance, but that's the neighboring pivot. It doesn't come all the way around. There's power lines right there and some trees that pivot stops at. Now this pivot's called the big pivot. We did another one yesterday, but I didn't get any video because we were hopping all day long. But this is actually our second pivot, and it is called the big pivot. And I'm going to try to put the drone up here in a little bit, and you'll see why it's called the big pivot. It's huge. But we'll be here for a couple days. Looks like we got some weather coming in that really wasn't in the forecast. We'll see what that does today. Just when you think you're the coolest dude out here in the field, and this kid shows up. Most kids only get to play with toy tractors. This kid gets to drive real ones and big ones. What's the age limit on adoption? Am I too old? Now these trucks hold about 1,000 bushels per truckload, and these bins hold 50,000 bushels, so 50 truckloads in a bin. And our goal tonight is to fill this bin. We have about 9 more loads that'll go in it, and then we're going to move our elevator either tonight or in the morning, and then we'll start working on the next bin. I guess the boss had a hard time finding a field that was dry enough to actually harvest and go into the bin. They like to shoot for about 18% moisture going into the bin, and we're running anywhere from 17 to 15 now, which is good. The moisture's coming down. But if it's too moist to go in the bin, then it gets expensive because then you got to dry it. Every bin has 2 of these big blowers like this, and the floor of the bin is perforated. So these blowers blow air underneath the floor, and then that air comes up through the floor. And then you can dry it like that, but if you need to dry it quicker or it's a little bit wetter, you have propane burners in here that this blower blows air through, so you get heated air in there if you need it. And you've got a big, probably 1,000-gallon or better propane tank here full of propane. But that's how you dry down your corn if it's not dry enough. Here's the leftover grain we were telling you about. Maybe about 1,000 bushel maybe. But this is what the inside of a grain bin looks like. You can see the sweep auger here is on its first pass around. You don't turn this on until you've opened all these traps here and you've got access to the door. Once this one runs out, then there's another one, and then there's another one. But kids, this is not a place to play. I know that all this corn looks like a fun thing to play in, but grain bins are very dangerous. We just had somebody die that I knew here this year in our area. What happens is these grain bins empty from the middle, and it develops a big cone in here starting at the top, kind of at this slope here. And if you get down in the middle, going down in the middle, all this corn will avalanche down on you and trap you in the middle up there when the bin's full, and you can't get out. And then if somebody climbs in to try to help you, their avalanche of corn comes down on you and buries you alive in there, and you will die. So children, stay out of grain bins. It's not a place to play. The only reason I'm even in this one is because the floor is exposed here and I'm standing solid on the floor. The only time I'd ever go in a grain bin. Now, the farmers that are fortunate enough to have bin space, they've accumulated over generations normally. They're very expensive, and you can't just go out and buy a bin site. You've pretty much got to work up to it and buy a bin here and a bin there. But if you have bin space, you can hold on to your corn. And if you can hold on to your corn, you'll generally get a better price, because right during harvest, the market is flooded with corn from all the farmers that don't have any storage. They sell their corn right at harvest, wherever they can take it to a feedlot or an elevator or whatever. You're stuck with the price you can get for that corn at that moment. If you can store it in a bin, you can hold your corn to where the market's no longer flooded with corn. They taught you about supply and demand in school, I'm sure. So later on in the year, when the supply goes down, the demand goes up, the price goes up with that demand. And with the bin space, you can sell your corn at that time and get a little bit higher price. I know last year at one point, corn went up to like $8 a bushel. And that was a very good day for farmers that had corn in the bin. Starting to rain, and you don't dare turn your windshield wipers on because it'll completely obliterate your visibility out the front windshield, especially if you're doing like 65 mile an hour down the freeway. Don't ever do that. Now, if we were still doing beans, we'd probably either have to shut down or already be shut down because it would really muck up the combine. But with corn, you can have a little bit of moisture in the air or a little sprinkle and keep on harvesting because it doesn't affect corn as much as it does the bean. Now, if someone was to ask me what's the worst thing about harvest, I would undoubtedly, hands down, say not being able to see Kelly. I absolutely adore my wife, and it's difficult during harvest because I leave in the morning, she's asleep, and I get home at night. Most of the time she's asleep because she's got to go to work the next morning. And I absolutely love when she's off and we do projects together there on the homestead. We work so well together. The only person I've ever worked as well together as I have with Kelly is my friend Steve. I don't know what it is. We just always click when we're doing projects, and that's the way I am with Kelly. I love the conversations we have. I love driving around with her, going places, and the banter that we do back and forth. It's just a good time. It's hard to explain, but that's the biggest thing I miss is my lovely wife. Hey girl, you're not supposed to be out here. What are you doing? Go back in your pasture. Boss lady brought out supper. We got some pizza and some of these, I think they call them melts or whatever. It's like a folded pizza, kind of like a calzone, but more like a taco. That comes with a little marinara and some ranch. Pretty tasty. Well, we're loaded, so we'll finish supper over at the pit. Little girl's down like a mile down the road now. She's got somebody else in trouble with her now. Talk somebody else out of the pasture. Like Thelma and Louise. Well, it's officially dark 30 out here. There's the grain cart coming in. The combine's way out there in the dark. Tractor lights up pretty well, don't it? I'm getting loaded here for the last time. We're actually going to leave this load on the truck overnight because we have 50 in the bin. So we'll check the bin in the morning. If the 2 truckloads can go in the bin, we'll put them in. If not, we're going to switch the bins out in the morning. So we'll get this truck back to the yard and park it for the night. All right, folks, it's 9 p.m. and we are headed home. We got the truck parked in the yard. We were 12 hours in the truck today. That's the equivalent of driving halfway to California. So we are headed home. We just got to run the gauntlet of suicidal deer for 45 minutes till we get there. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us at Markelly Farm. We really appreciate you guys.
Headlights.
Phoenix, blink, 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 blink. Come on, big guy, blink, blink, blink.
Headlights.